What's up, Huskies? YouTube family, back again with another video series. And as I said in one of my previous videos, we're redoing the whole sound system in this 2010 Toyota Tundra called the Yeti. So if you've been watching my channel, you see that we've already prepped the whole front stage. We built the door pods, put the new speakers in, got the new amps wired up, did the whole thing, right? Well, now it's time to start building the blow-through. You know, the masterpiece of this build, what we really came here to see, right? So this will be video 1 of this series.
Cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient.
We're basically just gonna be starting from scratch. Now, again, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I already had a blow-through in this truck at one point. It was two Sundown X V2 18s in a 4th order. It was just your typical blow through, right? Like I had a hole cut in the back with the accordion boot, built the box, slid the box into place. Well, we're going a little bit different route this time. I want to build into this truck as if it's like a wall, right? Like I don't want to build just the conventional, you know, cutting a hole, slide the box into place kind of thing, because then you do have a gap, like an air leak, where that port comes in, where there's just going to be pressure loss. It doesn't matter how good you are at cutting that hole, there's going to be some pressure loss there back into the bed. So I'm going to be building the box into the bed as we go through this process, the same way you would do like a wall, where you build the wall into the car. I'm building the box into the bed. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is cutting out our porthole, that bigger, right? I want to go with a bigger front port, and then I'm going to be building the port and the front wall of my box into the truck. Anyway, you guys will kind of get the idea as we go through this. But the reason I'm doing that, again, is to maximize my port space and so that I don't get any pressure loss back into the bed. Basically so that all the bass comes into the cab and it's built up just kind of like a walled vehicle, almost like a C-pillar wall in the back of this truck. So anyway, this is video 1 of the blow-through build, guys. I hope you enjoy it. So as you can see, I'm working on pulling off all this old sound deadening. It's actually coming off a lot easier than I thought. Here's the old gasket. Man, that thing is on there. I mean, I'm impressed. That thing is held on there for, I don't know, I installed this maybe 4 years ago, and that bad boy ain't leaking at all. Now this is there's a lot more give in that than I would like. We're gonna have to address that. Put something in there to support that. I don't know, but I'm not crazy about that. Anyway, we'll figure that out. So we're just working on pulling all this sound deadening off so that we can pull this boot. All right, so here we are with that blow through hole. You guys can see the white Sharpie is where the new hole is going to be. Let me hop up there. All right, so when you're doing this, you have got to make sure that your hole is where you want it. For one, if it's going to come this way, you can't have it be any wider than what your box is going to be. So I took this, come on, there we go. I took this and lined it up against the rear fender well here and just slid it up. Okay, now this represents about 1.5 inches. If that's 2 layers, I know right there is really as wide as that hole can come. Well, it lined up with this little, it lined up with this little groove right here, so I just drew a line up. I know I want to leave about 1 inch at the top, so I'm just going to cut right along that top edge there. I did the same thing with my straight edge over on this side to come up with that line. Then you can see here I have 2 lines. First, I just came up 1.5 inches to make up for 2 layers of MDF. But then I reached around here on the other side, and we've got these little seat brackets. And so if you cut that low right there, you are going to end up cutting into that seat bracket on the other side. So your front side is going to have to be higher than your back side. Well, that would not work very well. So you really got to check those things. So I just brought it up about, the width of this thing. I just took my straight edge and I just set it on there, and that gave me that line. And that helped. That's high enough to clear that seat bracket there. We got another one over here somewhere. Anyway, and so you got to make sure that you've got the hole that you want on both sides. Like, for instance, I know this front wall, it goes up higher and it goes down lower. See, the floor of the cab is much lower than the floor of the bed. So if you'd have just started on the other side and just started cutting you a hole as big as possible, you'd end up lower and higher than what your bed is. So there's some planning that goes along here. You can't just come in here and just start cutting stuff, especially when you're trying to get a hole as big as possible, right? Which is what we're trying to do. I'm trying to get the biggest hole here that I can. That way I have options. I can shrink the port if I need to. But once it's in here, you can't make it bigger. You can only make it smaller. And this guy right here, that's just a welding cloth or a welding blanket. We're going to be using that as we go too, so that I'm not getting like sparks and stuff inside the cab. But anyway, that's the outline of what that's going to look like. Now it's time to cut that out. Alright guys, so what you can see, we're using our cutoff wheel to cut that off of there along those lines. Now, one thing I did do was I used a step bit to cut these holes in the corner. That way it's round. At these corners it's rounded instead of squared. That way when you go to put that boot on there, you don't have this hard corner you have to deal with that there will like be a point where it's gonna leak. You know, it's trying to bend that accordion boot right into a hard corner is gonna be a lot more difficult than giving it a little bit of a rounded edge. So that's what I did in all four corners. And then I'm just kind of connecting the dots with my cutting wheel. So anyway, got this one. You guys kind of see how I did that. Let me get all this cut out and then I'll bring you guys back. Oh, what a pain in the butt. Okay, well we got it out. You can see how big the old hole was versus how big the new hole is. Holy crap. That is just a lot of work. Like to get through this double layer thing right here. Oh my gosh. So I don't think there's any of that on that wall. So hopefully we don't have that problem. But I went through like 6 cutoff wheels to get through that. Anyway, we're gonna do the same thing to this front side, and then I'll bring you guys back. Okay, been working pretty much all day, but I finally got this bigger blow through hole cut. Let me show you guys what I got. Well, as you can see, we got a bigger hole in there now. So more room for a much bigger port. That'll be fun. Well, there she is. Okay, so we're about as wide and about as tall as we can be. We still preserved this, which I'm happy about, because I'm pretty sure that's providing the structural support for like the back window and stuff. A couple things we did have to do, like get all this double layered stuff away from the edge, right? Like even up here, we had to get this pulled away from this. That way that accordion boot has something to bite onto, you know, it's got something to hold of, right? So it just needs to be one layer thick throughout. See, like right there too, had to cut that. This was a pain in the butt. Man, this was a pain in the butt. But there's that one piece there, and there's the other piece here. Man. All right, well, that's that. The hole is cut. Got about 3 or 4 inches worth of, you know, port space, I guess, if you want to think about it like that. Anyway, got to get that accordion boot in there now. Let's get doing that, and then I'll bring you guys back. All right, so another thing I did off camera here is I took a grinding wheel and a lap disc, and I just came in here and roughed all these edges so that when we go to put that boot on there, the glue has something to stick to. We did that on the other side as well, on this side. Now, one thing we need to address is that, right? It's pretty strong everywhere else, except right there, man, it is super flimsy. So here's what we did. I got a piece of 3/4 MDF that I just coated with like some rubberized coating to do my best to waterproof it, I suppose. I mean, it's not really gonna be, even if it gets wet, it's fine. But I'm gonna stick this in between these two spaces, use some self-tappers and some adhesive to give this some strength. So I just got that slid into place so that you guys can see what I mean, right? It kind of comes about right here like that. Now, you know, if I can glue this and then tap these screws in here, this is going to give this a lot more strength so that this isn't just flapping around like a piece of paper. So let me get that done and then I'll show you guys how it came out. All right, that's much better. So obviously that's still wet, right? Like that needs to cure, but look at this, right? Like that's a lot sturdier now. And if I need to, I can come in with my cutoff wheel after this all dries and cut these off. You know, that won't be a big deal. Same on the other side if I got any sticking out. But man, that's gonna give me a nice little, you know, something sturdy to grip onto now when I start bolting like my, or screwing my port and everything else. Gonna be way better than just having this flimsy like piece of paper flapping in the wind. All right, guys, well, let me show you where we're at here. As you can see, it is still dark out here. It's first thing in the morning. I don't sleep real well sometimes, so today was one of those days. Figured I'd come out here and check this out. As you guys saw, we do have that piece of 3/4 that's in there to support that. All right, we screwed it into place with these self-tappers. Then the next thing that we did, I didn't really get much of it on video, but we put this accordion boot in between the gap there, right? This is obviously to waterproof this so that you don't have an opening to the outside, right? Like you have to fill this gap with something. Now, for those of you that haven't seen this, you can just order this stuff on Amazon. Right, it's marketed for like camper shells, right? It's literally kind of what it's called, accordion style rubber boot that's meant to like bridge two gaps. It's got one channel on this side, as you can imagine, right? You clip that over one side of your sheet metal, then you take this other channel right there, and you clip that over the other side. This is just some that I had left over. All right, and then you just go all the way around. I started right here and then just kind of took it all the way around and cut off the excess. Now, what I did do too was I took some of that construction adhesive, that PL glue, and I just squirted it in that channel the whole way along. That way, it would glue into place. And then I just took a crap load of that stuff and just smeared it all around, right? Especially hit it really heavy up here in the corners, right? And I had this up here because this little piece here was wanting to kind of fall in. The same was happening over there, right there. I already removed the clamp, but you can see I just used this little clamp to hold it in place. Right now, freaking clamp is glued to the, come on baby, come on. Can we get it off of there? There we go. All right, so you can see why you would need an accordion style, because it's wider here than it is down here. So anyway, that's what that looks like. Got that all sealed up. Let's see if we can see it from this side. You can't really see it, but anyway. All right, that's where we're at. We got a great big hole in the back of the truck, and now we got it sealed off from the elements. Got it glued in place. That bad boy should be in there, no problem. Well, we've done a lot of work to this point, right? Like what you guys just saw was several days worth of work. Cut the hole bigger and strengthened up that bottom piece that's just all flappy, right? And then we put the accordion boot, which is some stuff you can just get on Amazon. Like I said, it's designed for like camper shells, and you use that to basically seal it off so that you don't get water in there, right? Like that wouldn't be good. So anyway, now it's time to start building the port into the truck. Now you'll see in a couple of these other videos, I already have a floor laid down in the bed. I was also kind of doing these two steps together, building the port and building the floor of the box on the truck bed. That will be video number 2 of this video series, how I built that floor. So just keep that in mind. We'll come back and I'll show you guys how I did that. But anyway, now I'm going to show you guys how I built the port of this box and the front wall of the box into the cab. So now that we got this floor in here, we are going to start working on this port. Now you can see I've already cut out a piece here. Well, let's back up a little bit. The goal is to basically build the port into the truck versus building the box and sliding it through the porthole. We're building it into this space here. Now this truck's kind of got a goofy profile right here. Like you got this great big hump thing that we're gonna have to account for. And you can see right there, the bed does not go straight down. Like it comes straight down and then it kicks back like that. Oh, excuse me. So my plan is to build up pieces that will kind of connect to themselves until we're able to go all the way around here and then all the way out past this lip. It'll make more sense as we do it. This is the first piece that I've cut. This is how big that porthole is going to be, right? This is a 48 inches across piece of wood. That's 3 inches. That's 3 inches wide right there. And that's 2 inches tall, right? So we got 48 minus 3 is 45 minus 3. Okay, so that's like a 42 inch roughly opening right there. So that's a big hole. But as we build this port in, it's gonna, it's gonna fill in some. Let's see, where's my square? There it is. All right, so as we build this up, you can see we've got like a gap right here, because again, this is not straight. So we made up for the side of this, right? That's about 3/4 of an inch exactly. So the next piece that goes on is going to bridge that gap and go all the way around. But we have to make sure that this piece is square, right? It can't be angled like that. So all I did was I set this up here and I took my square and oh man, get some sawdust. Anyway, so once we push this up into place, this is pretty much square like that, and it follows this line that I already drew almost exactly. That was kind of an accident, but hey, happy little accidents, right? So what we did, I already put in some Craig jig holes. We're going to screw this into place here, and then we're going to take a screw, sheet metal screw, and screw this into place. That way we have a base to build our port. Let me get all that done and then I'll bring you guys back. Well, let me show you guys how this turned out. I didn't get much footage of me doing this simply because it got kind of dark and I was trying to get it done. But let me walk around and show you guys. Right, so as you can see, I've already put on 2 layers. Here's that first layer. Oops, sorry. Here's that first layer that you can see just takes up this space until this little piece juts out, and then that's where the second layer picks it up, right? And we do have a little gap here, but that's just because this needs to be square, like at a 90 degree, right? But we got more pieces. We're just gonna cut out more holes and just stack these up like this. Right, and then you get the idea. That's gonna be creating the front of the box, and then I can build the port inside of that hole right there. Then it'll be attached to the truck instead of just like building the box and sliding it forward. This is going to be built in, and there's going to be absolutely no air leaks in there once we get it all sealed up and everything. Oh man, guys, look at that. The final piece is in. All right, so you guys saw how I cut it, and I just used a jigsaw. Check that out. It meets pretty much exactly flush with the top of this bed topper. And I did have to grind into it just a little bit. Wasn't a big deal. I used my cutoff wheel and just kind of cut out a little notch. That way it fits right up there flush, and I didn't have to add another layer to go up higher. Right, because I'm trying to maximize my space here as well. Man, look at that. Right, what a perfect base for like a shell to a box. This is basically like a wall. Like I'm building a wall in the bed of my truck. Right? Now we're gonna have to let all this set up and dry and everything overnight. But like, look at that. It just fits the contour of that bed perfectly. I mean, not perfectly, but we can fill in the gaps with some gap filler and all that stuff too. And then we're just going to use this to build the port, you know, right into the cab. That way there is no pressure loss at all around here. It'll be from the box right into the bed, or excuse me, right into the cab. So anyway, we got that done. Now it's time to build the port, I think. I think that'll be the next step. We'll just kind of have to see. I'm kind of just working through this as I go, you know. Just not exactly sure what the next step will be until I get there, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to do the port next. Well, guys, now it is time. Come on. Now it is time to put the port in here. Now, one thing I did off camera, I flex sealed all of that in there. And even on the outside here, on the outside edge on that side, I flex sealed it. Well, let me crawl in there and I can show you. I keep forgetting there's a gigantic hole, so I can just like crawl in here. But right there. I flex sealed all that just in case any kind of moisture gets up in here. It's not just like bare wood. But now it is time to put the actual port in there. And I'm just building a port that I can add to if I need to. So I'm basically building it as big and as short as possible. That way, if I need to add other layers to make it less port area and make it a little bit longer, I can. So I got a couple pieces cut already. These are 8 inches. So it's going to be an 8-inch deep port. And the way I came up with that number was, if you measure from the back up to this front brace, that's pretty much exactly 8 inches. So that port is just going to stick. It's just going to be right flush with that top piece there. Let's see. And it's going to stick out right about where the seat mounts. All right, another thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put big gap filler, that spray foam, in all these gaps. You know, in through here. As we put these port pieces in, we're gonna be filling these gaps with spray foam. Like I said, we don't want any air to get from this side of the truck to that side of the truck. letting this sit overnight. First thing in the morning. It's still dark out here. That's why I got my headlamp on. Look at all that. That foam just taking up all that space. It looks good. Airtight. All right, one last thing I think we're gonna do for the structure of this port is reinforce these two sides, right, with one other piece, because I am gonna put a brace here that will support it from top to bottom. But this is just one layer thick, and where I attached it, it got kind of janky. So I smoothed out the rough spots, and then I'm just gonna take this and put it in there like that. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. All right, well, don't mind that wood. Had to run to a Home Depot run and got some wood, but we finally got these other two port pieces put in, one on each side. Right, that gives us a little bit smoother of a mounting point, and it's not all like blown out right there. And it's nice and sturdy now, nice and supported. Right, and then that makes it a little easier for tunability. Like if I want to just maybe shrink the port area, I can just keep stacking, you know, pieces this way. And then I am going to put a center brace right here, I think. But I'm not sure yet, and I don't think I'm ready to do that yet anyhow. So that's the port the way it sits right now. Like I said, everything's all spray foamed in, right? Everything is attached. That is part of the truck, right? No pressure leaks at all coming through that. Well, YouTube, that concludes this video. We've got a nice starting point for our blow-through box. Cut the hole bigger, and of course, built the port into the truck. It is a part of the truck now. It is not going anywhere. You don't really see blow-throughs built like that, or at least I don't. So I think this will be something that's kind of unique and a little bit new, things that maybe give you guys some new ideas. And I've never really done this before either, so we're just going to kind of have to see how this goes, right? Like, we're kind of learning together with this one, because I've never seen this done before, and I've never done it myself. So we're just piecing it together as we go. Anyway, this was kind of a long video, guys, as a lot of my videos tend to be. For those of you that are watching them, I really appreciate it. And please like the video, comment on it. I love interacting with you guys. Share the video, show it to your other friends that are car audio enthusiasts. Subscribe to my channel. That would be great. That would really help me out. But thank you guys for watching. In video number 2, I believe we're going to be building the floor of the box, show you guys how I did that. So keep your eyes out for that video. Thanks, guys.
Hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top?